afternoon, everyone, to another exciting episode of BWHR Voices. Today, we have a special guest with us from SAP India. We have Miss Shweta Mohanty, Head HR, SAP India. Shweta, we welcome you on board. It's a pleasure for us to be speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Sugandh. I look forward for a really interesting conversation with you.
Indeed, indeed. We'll make it as interesting as possible and even knowledgeable because people really look up to our series. And we usually tend to take up topics that are, in trend of the HR fraternity so that they get queries with regards to, they get solutions to their problems. And also, we introduce people and we ask people to even tag you on LinkedIn, on Facebook, if they have any queries with regards to any subject in HR so that, the engagement is to and fro.
Sure.
So today's discussion is based on the topic role of organization in mapping employee success. My view about this topic is something like, employee success is an essential part of any organization's overall success, I feel. However, defining, measuring, and mapping employee success can be a complex and a challenging task because you need to holistically take a view of what to take and what not to take, and how should you actually press in the required talent within your organization and show them a growth map on why do you want the particular talent to be employed with you as an employer.
Yeah.
So this is where the role of organization also comes in. Organizations play a very critical role in mapping employee success by providing clear expectations, feedback, resources, and support to help employees reach their full potential. Mapping employee success involves tracking and evaluating employee performance, identifying areas for improvement, and providing opportunities for growth. Now, in this discussion, this way the organizations can ensure that, it's the employees that are working towards the individual and collective goals that align with organizations' objectives.
Yeah.
In today's discussion with Ms. Mohanty, we will explore various ways in which organizations can play a significant role in mapping employee success and benefits of doing so for both organization as well as an employee, because it's a two-way process. So as an employer, you need to take care of both the employees as well as the employer's need. Shweta, my first question to you: what role do you think performance evaluations, and feedback play in mapping employee success?
Yeah. So, Sugandh, maybe I will start with a simple but a powerful statement and
Mm-hmm.
a little bit controversial as well. I fundamentally believe that uh, you know performance evaluation is not equal to feedback,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
the organizations who are able to design people practices around this subtle but big differences are able to link it to the employee success in a much better way. I'll give you an example.
Fair enough.
Fundamentally, when we look at performance evaluation is always towards an event, linkage to an event, for example, a progression or a promotion or rewards. So in very crude terms, you can say it's a label, it's a judgment, often in comparison to others. And that fundamental premise is something which curtails and organizations attempts to map it to employee success. Instead, if I would really want to put it in way of feed forward, I actually hate to use the word feedback because feedback inherently means you look back, right? I
Mm-hmm.
do believe feed forward, or giving inputs to an individual or an employee, with a sole aim to improve their performance for future, or the future roles or the future opportunities that lies ahead of them, is a fundamental difference in mapping employee success. Because the moment you look feed forward, you look at employees potential, you look at what kind of roles they would fit in, you look at what kind of inputs you are giving to them to chart their success, and that is really really critical, for any organization.
Mm-hmm.
So any inputs that is positive, is looking forward for to make employee with a fundamental belief that the employee would take that and work towards it, and and work on their development areas, but more importantly also being fully aware that what an employee's strengths are and how do they
Yeah.
really work upon in mapping that strength to the right roles in the organization leads them to employee success. And then if we are able to do that well, I think the performance evaluation part becomes really easier, because you have kept at the heart of the whole process, you have kept, an employee success, as the basic premise, and then you are telling the person on what the person needs to do and linking it to the rewards, and it's far better received, than just purely looking back and giving them, comparing them, with other employees and giving them a label, which many organizations still do, right, in terms of how they have, worked on their KPIs. That's I think, is the fundamental difference that the organizations have to move ahead with.
Mm-hmm.
They have to slowly delink it and let that play in the organization, where people look forward, to somebody giving them inputs to become better in their job. And if we are able to design our people practices around it, I think we are guaranteed employee success.
Fair enough, in a very holistic and an analytical manner, along with examples you've explained this whole notion. How, in
Yeah.
your view, can organizations' culture and values impact the mapping of employee success? Because as an employee, if I fail to join your organization, I will always look
Yeah.
at, what is my growth map? Where can I see myself 5 years down the line?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
only the price and the handsome package that you're offering me, or you're also offering me a holistic growth wherein, let's say, from an area sales manager to someday I can even become managerial sales or managing a team of, let's say, 15, 20 people.
or
So
or the CEO, how why should we, kind of keep it very, very restrictive? I think employees
no,
can
of
easily
course,
be at the top, right?
very, very true. And as an
Yeah.
employee, see, it's very important for an employee to see the growth map.
Yes.
Salaries, most of the organizations will pay me according to the
Yeah.
skill that I inherit. But what
Yeah.
about my growth map? 5 years down the line, I shouldn't be earning a lakh and just be an area sales manager, you know. So that
Absolutely.
that that would stagnate my growth if I plan on
Yes.
to changing into any new organization. So how
Yeah.
is the company's culture and the values impact the growth map?
Oh, it's fundamentally important. Organizations' culture has a huge role in employee success. Look at the definition of employee success. Employee success, for me personally, is when employees are able to be themselves, have a psychological safe space to continue to bring their, best of potential. They have a, path to, to grow, like you said, they know what are the steps that they need to take, to enrich their careers. And
Mm-hmm.
there is one big change that, we have observed in the last almost 5 to 7 years, is that, the career graphs of people are not really linear anymore. It's not like, you will become an area sales manager, then you will become probably a regional sales manager, and then you will grow in your career. Today, people really want to have zigzag career paths, which means
Right.
that, you could really have, you could be an area sales manager. You could actually decide to go to pre-sales. You could decide to actually be, a part of, the services or a support organization. You could actually come back and, be, client facing or customer facing again. And it is valued as an organization for people to have holistic, experiences. Because when you have holistic experiences, you have a full view of different aspects of, how organization is run. Where if you are selling a product, you know what is the feedback coming, for that product.
Right.
If you are, designing a product, you know what the customers are saying about that product. And that's the reason why, we need to really look at employee success in terms of, very diverse career paths. And, especially in SAP, if I'm talking about, my organization, we absolutely encourage that. We have people, who in my team, in my own team, who are actually, technical, people who are developers, who decided to move to human resources because they have a passion for, for this subject and this topic, and vice versa. We have people who are developers who have gone to go, done pre-sales, who are salespeople who have at some point in time decided that they want to do CSR. You
Mm-hmm.
have operations people who were architects, technical architects earlier. And that career path is absolutely encouraged. So if you have a space where, you're actually nurturing a culture in the organization where employees are encouraged to take risks, for their career, they are encouraged to chart, an unknown path, which
Mm-hmm.
seems beginning, but will be greatly beneficial, for them in terms of holistic development. And it's okay if the employees are failing at some point in time. Not everybody becomes a star in every role they pick up, and it's okay to not to be so successful in something and come back. And that's fundamentally the culture that relates to employee success. If you are creating, tools, if you are creating environment where employees can ask questions, get clarity, are able to have difficult discussions, challenge the status quo when it comes to their careers, I think, then you are in a perfect place. You are not really telling people that this is the only path that, leads you. There are
Yeah.
different, you can chart your own path, right? And you can be as successful as you want in charting your own unique path, because every employee is unique. It is not necessarily that everybody's north star is the same. Everybody can really be successful, happy, and contributing to the organization doing different things.
While you say that, today organizations like SAP are giving that platform that, you can zigzag your
Yes.
career and reach the potential aim that you always have in your mind, do you think there are any, usage of tools or IT techniques or resources that organizations can use to track employee progress? Or, are you one of those organizations who are making use of certain technologies and tools in order to measure the employee success?
Yeah. So I think, one of the fundamental, premise with any career path is comes with self-awareness, right?
Okay.
If I'm aware about, what are my strengths, what are my derailers, what are my challenges, what are my opportunities, then I am much, in a much better space to say, okay, this is where I think I would be successful. I am in this career path, but I would really want to chart into something completely different. So in terms of the tools and resources, what we really use is that we do have a 360 feedback, right, which gives a view to the employee on what they are saying. We encourage our employees to go and seek feedback, from, the peers that they are working or the customers. We also have ample opportunity for employees to do what we call, Sugandh, as short-term projects or
Okay.
fellowships, right? Where it's a testing phase. You have an interest in an area, you go and take 3 months or 6 months and go and work in that area and see whether you really have a passion, understand what are the pros and cons, what how really you are coming up in that space. And that's a testing phase which helps you to kind of figure out whether that is a career path that you are made up of, or would you want to pursue or not. And that application or and that opportunity of your passion, really helps employees to get clarity. So I think the self-awareness bit is something that we really encourage, and we have a lot of tools, enabling that. We
Okay.
also do, in terms of the resources, we also do a lot of opportunities. For example, hackathons. You have opportunity to go and work with a completely different team. We have something called as social sabbaticals, right, where employees go and actually work with an NGOs in a different country or in a different state within the country, to really solve deeper social problems with the help of technology, right? And that kind
Okay.
of opens up opportunities for them. And I think that is something which helps us to holistically, get into the self-awareness piece of it. And we do build up tools, around it. So, 360 fellowships, social sabbaticals, opportunities, to innovate through our hackathons and innovation, competitions, and lead in some of the space that, some of our folks are passionate about, really helps them, to kind of explore, different ways in which they could chart out a career. And this is exactly one of the reasons why, Sugandh, we see our employees doing really different things, things that, usually in a software technology organization, you don't see employees
Social
taking those time.
sabbatical leaves are a very exquisite policy that I'm hearing from
Yes,
any company, because see, sabbaticals we understand. I could have taken sabbatical for my kid, I could have taken sabbatical for pursuing a
yes,
hobby. But it's very enlightening to see that, companies like SAP are also offering social sabbatical. Maybe I have love for dogs.
You can take up, there are so we have social problems and we put in front of them, and then there are NGOs, and you go for a month, anywhere between a month to 2 to 3 months in a completely different country, in a completely different place, where you are learning about the culture, you're learning about the livelihoods of those people, and trying to really influence them with concrete solutions. And you could see that people who come back from that experience are very are a changed person. They really look at customers in a different way, they look at impact in a different way, and we get such wonderful feedback from that. I'll give you another example. Around 6 years back, we were one of the first organizations which launched a sabbatical for entrepreneurship, and that's a program which is close to my heart because I kickstarted that in India, where we said that there are people who have entrepreneurship aspirations, right, but do not have the courage probably to go and explore it because it's a really busy space. There are so many ideas that are floating around. You do want to give time and effort to see your idea taking up shape in form of a startup. So we allowed people to actually take anywhere between a year to 2 years, while being on the rolls of the organization. So they go, they figure it out. If they are successful, they would leave the organization anyways, right? If they get the funding, if their ideas is resonating, but not every idea really makes up, a startup, right? And if they are not, they would come back in the organization. So that kind of, future progressive looking experience, I do believe, so that comes from this very fact that we fundamentally trust our employees to chase their dreams, whether they are within the organization, whether in a social sector, whether they want to do something out of their passion. They're connected to that, and that's something which we nurture as an
Another
organization.
exciting feature that I have heard from SAP, that you're supporting employees' side hustles as well.
Yes,
Few weeks
yes,
back, we actually did a session on this, wherein should employers, or how should employers actually support employees' side hustles. So SAP could be a very
yes,
great example for that,
yeah,
because that is actually a time and an aspiration wherein an employee feels that I shouldn't be kicking off my side hustles when the employer itself is ready to support me. Time support and productivity support is something that they look up to, because when they're going on an entrepreneurial journey, they know they would
yes,
require funds. So the need of
exactly,
funds from employer is not actually the want, they actually need time, because they have to invest
exactly,
time into it.
exactly. And
And getting
we had
support
a few
from
takers. Yeah,
sorry.
we had a few takers, and I'm very happy to say that we had a few takers who were actually successful in their dreams, did not
Great.
join back, but when they are still one of the biggest spokesperson for the organization, because we helped them at a time when they were not probably 100% sure whether this is the direction that they want to.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing that we have been able to support them. Even now, if you look at the much talked about space on moonlighting, there are employees who, for example, have aspirations, and they teach, or they take up a course in another organization. Our only ask from them is to be transparent and come back to us and share what they are doing, so that it doesn't conflict with the organization's
Very true.
priorities. And if that's the case, we actually encourage our people to be connected to their passion.
Fair enough. It's very heartening to see that employers are actually working towards it, and they think this is a segment that that should be supported in terms of
Yeah,
employee support. Because I posed this question prior also to many employers, that don't you think if you support employees side hustle, there is no concept of moonlighting, then they wouldn't have to shy away from being transparent. Could be a hobby, could there be a need also that they're pursuing the side hustles. But yes, and very most of them actually said, see, we don't have a problem until and unless the productivity doesn't get hampered, because
yeah,
they're still at the payroll of a certain organization. Of
yeah,
course, we're helping them, but they are
yeah,
still accountable to the work they're doing for us.
yeah,
So, but then
absolutely.
no, but then it's still heartening to see that employers are actually thinking in this row. And now it's
Yeah,
the duty of an employee to how to manage both, sailing in the same
yeah,
boat.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
Lastly, Shweta, do you think there are certain challenges as well organizations face while mapping employee success? And if so, you could name a few challenges and could strategize solutions to them as well.
Yeah, so one of the challenges, when you are working with a diverse set of employees, one of the challenges certainly is, um, how do you, align the employees with the organizational strategy, and how well are you able to do that, right? Every person in the organization, I do feel, has to have a connect with what we are trying to do overall in the organization. What are the organization priorities? What are some of the strategies? And that linkage is very, very important. And
Hmm.
that's again one of the areas, which where we face challenges sometimes, because
Okay.
how well that information, that cascade, is percolating to every employee, where they feel that their code that they're writing or the impact that they're making in the work is really helping the organization, is something which really needs to be done well. We do a lot around that. We have strategy sessions which run across the organization. We ensure that our managers are talking about that linkage at every opportunity. And that's something, but it still kind of is one of the biggest challenges, because the moment our employees are disconnecting with the organization is when the employee success is getting impacted. They do not know how their work is contributing to the bigger picture. So that's one of the common challenges that I would certainly see. The other challenge that I always feel is this entire, and I think I alluded to that a little bit, this entire thing on performance, and how should I put it? The kind of challenge people have to inputs or feedback, right? We still feel feedback is really a negative feedback. We have still not been able to, across organizations, I have seen that people don't look forward, for year end. People don't look forward for the mid year, opportunities to get feedback, because somehow the connotations with with the inputs and career inputs is largely negative, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the chain that we have to break. If I really look into my career, I actually don't remember many times when I have been appreciated or praised, or given opportunities to do something which is bigger than my scope. But I fundamentally remember those opportunities where my managers have told me, this is something that could have been done differently, or can you think that we should have approached this problem in a slightly different way than we did, or
Mm.
could you change your viewpoint around it? Because that's where you are challenged. That's where you feel that there is a way for you to course correct, to develop, or gain a new skill. And that's something which I think across organizations we have to break the myths around feedback and performance, because employee success will come when employees look forward to inputs, when employees look forward for kind of development opportunities, when employees look forward to how they can build even their strengths, how they can work on their development plans. And that, I think, is something that across organizations, every organization I know have a common challenge around that. And even in our organization, we have been working very, very closely, um, to build high performance organization where employees really feel that they can look forward, because there is no label, there is nothing which is linked to the
Mm.
rewards. They are able to look forward positively to a time where the manager sits with them, has a conversation, saying that
Right.
here is what we have covered, and this is what we can do going forward. So that's something that we have been trying to do, but I do believe that's a common challenge when it comes to employee success. So linkage, to organization strategy and openness, to feedback is something which I would fundamentally call out as challenges that organizations do face.
Fair enough, Shweta. Thank you so much for your time, the analysis, and the examples that you shared to talk
Thank you so
about
much.
such an important aspect. I am sure there are other employers as well who'd be, taking inputs from this conversation on actually how can they map their employee success and side by side support their side hustles. Could be
Yes.
an entrepreneurial venture, could be on social issues that they want to
Yeah.
learn or they want to give out their time to. So your organization could be one of the very big examples to it, that an organization who has an employee base of over a lakh, you know and it's just not in few thousands. If they are
Yeah.
able to support an employee's side hustles, then why not other organizations onto the same realm? So thank you
Yes.
so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you. People who still have questions onto how can they strategize, how can they devise new strategies and map out a very effective growth for their employees. Shweta is a person. You could tag her on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. She'll be happy to answer to all your queries. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Shweta,
so
for
much.
your time.
It was such a pleasure to talk to you, Sugan. Great questions, and I look forward for a lot of reactions from the audience on what we have
Indeed,
spoken today.
indeed, indeed, you will get. Thank you so much, Shweta.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.